The ringleader of an organised crime group selling crack cocaine on the streets of Sheffield has been jailed after a lengthy 5-year investigation by South Yorkshire Police. Jesiah Galloway, aged 29, and his gang of drug mules and dealers were jailed at Sheffield Crown Court on Monday, October the 9th, 2023, for a combined total of over 30 years. Detective Sergeant Jim Dyson said, "This has been a lengthy operation, but officers' determination has paid off and those involved now face time in prison. Drugs harm our communities in many ways. There is a huge health detriment to those who are using and addicted to drugs, and the profits and money from drug sales fund further organised crime that has a direct link to violent knife and gun crime in our city. I am pleased we have been able to remove these prolific offenders from our streets." Galloway's drug ring was found to have supplied approximately 8 kilograms of crack cocaine and heroin between May 2022 and January 2023, making them over 800,000 across their dedicated drugs line. In January 2019, two of Galloway's runners, Doyle James, 31, and Curtis Woodhead, 24, were involved in a fail to stop with roads policing officers. Woodhead was found to be in possession of Class A drugs, with a further drugs being found in the area where both men had attempted to flee the scene. As forensic tests were carried out on the crack cocaine and heroin, Galloway's DNA was found linking him, James, and Woodhead to the same drugs operation. Shortly afterwards, in March 2019, ringleader Galloway's brazen attitude to the justice system came to light when messages between him and his girlfriend were viewed and showed how Galloway had been dealing drugs in prison and continuing to run his drug empire from behind bars. Galloway and James were arrested on further occasions during 2019 when controlled drugs and messaging linking them to drug supply were recovered. Officers soon became aware of Galloway's supplier, 29-year-old Kingsley Scott. Scott gave himself and his drugs away to officers via text message argument with Galloway. In 2020, Scott sold Galloway 250 grams of cocaine, which the crime boss discovered to be of a poor quality when he attempted to convert the drug to crack cocaine using the process known as washing. Fearing for his profits and lack of commodity to supply his customer base, Galloway argued with Scott over a text message. The messages led to Scott being arrested and his property being searched, during which officers found cocaine, a large quantity of money, high-value jewellery, and items that showed Scott lived far beyond his means of an unemployed man. Galloway was arrested and remanded in January 2022 for his offending, but Scott, however, was released on bail by the courts. Still thinking he was untouchable, Galloway continued to run his drug line before it was intercepted by police. Frightened, those associated with the drugs line changed their numbers. However, analytical work led officers to arrest Galloway, his right-hand man, Idris Anderson, 22, and their driver, drug dealer, Raja Khan, 50. During their arrest, Galloway and Anderson were found to have large sums of cash. Anderson was found to have versions of the latest drug line and used by the group. The gang were jailed for over 30 years in total. Galloway of Harcourt Road, Sheffield, was charged with conspiracy to supply Class A drugs, crack cocaine and heroin, bringing a prohibited article into prison possession with intent to supply Class A drugs, cocaine, conspiracy to supply Class A drugs, crack cocaine and heroin, and possession of criminal property. He was sentenced to 12 years in prison. Doyle James of No Fixed Abode was charged with conspiracy to supply Class A drugs, crack cocaine and heroin. He was sentenced to 3 years and 9 months in prison. Curtis Woodhead of Delstone Crescent, Sheffield, was charged with possession with intent to supply Class A drugs, crack cocaine and heroin. He was sentenced to 21 months, suspended for 2 years in prison. Kingsley Scott of Alport Grove, Sheffield, was charged with conspiracy to supply Class A drugs, cocaine, possession with intent to supply Class A drugs, cocaine and possession of criminal property. He was sentenced to 3 years and 9 months in prison. Idris Anderson of Ingram Road, Sheffield, was charged with conspiracy to supply Class A drugs, crack cocaine and heroin, and possession of criminal property. He was sentenced to 7 years and 6 months in prison. Raja Khan of Birchwood Gardens, Sheffield, was charged with being concerned in the supply of Class A drugs, crack cocaine and heroin. He was sentenced to 5 years and 7 months in prison. Please like this video, please comment, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you.